What's up, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Licks, Tips, and Tricks. I'm actually really excited for a couple of reasons. One, I got one of my favorite guitar players in Los Angeles, Mr. Raymond Anthony Sanchez, coming in to join me to show you guys some cool stuff. Raymond plays in a band called Thrown into Exile. He's just an awesome human being, all-around wonderful person, one of the most articulate players that I have ever encountered, and especially being out in Los Angeles, that's saying something. There's a lot of good players out here. Ray stands out. So stick around. Licks, Tips, and Tricks is just getting rolling. But first, let's roll the intro. Alright, so I'm excited. Got a couple of things to be excited for. Tomorrow, I go in for the final rehearsals before the first performance with Nita Strauss. But excited about that. Super excited about Ray. Ray plays in a group called Thrown into Exile. They've been making waves out here in Los Angeles for the past few years. Good old-fashioned LA thrash metal at its finest. Take a look. So for those of you that know my thrash metal roots and my death metal roots, you'll understand why I enjoy this band so much. And for those of you that have played with me or seen me play, you understand why I appreciate Ray's playing so much. So enough of this chit chat, let's dive in. What's up? Welcome to this week's episode of Licks, Tips, and Tricks. I am actually really stoked about this episode for two reasons. One, guitar episode. Can't not love guitar. Number two, doing it with Mr. Ray Sanchez. So Ray is going to play Song for the Lost featuring Bjorn, Strid from Soilwork off of his most recent album with Thrown into Exile. Take a look. Ray, what's your backstory? Where are you from originally?
Born in Sacramento. I'm a no good, dirty, rotten Giants, Niners, Sharks fan. I was born on October 5th, 1991. I am as old as the Sharks team, subtracting like 1 day.
That's awesome.
So yeah, weird random fact. Born in Sacramento. My parents also got divorced. Grateful for it though. I love the way I grew up. I wouldn't have had it any other way. Was living on the edge of an alfalfa field in the back roads between Dixon and Vacaville. And overnight, I moved from there to right around the corner from the Chinese Theater on De Longpre and Wilcox. That was, I think, the first apartment that I got with my friends. I had my truck. I took pretty much everything I owned, and put trust in the wrong people. Lost some guitars. Lost my truck. Had them leave mid-lease. Lease ran out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna couch surf until I've overstayed my welcome in everyone's house. And eventually, as it does happen, it happened, and I found myself around the corner from the Museum of Psychiatry in Hollywood. I was sleeping in a park there for a while. Slept around Baldwin Hills. Actually slept in a staircase in what used to be Walmart, where I was working the night shift, and I slept in the concrete stairwell there. You had a body pillow for a mattress. At that point, you could have given me a flat rock and it would have been comfortable, but it was a rough time, but it was a necessary time, because throughout that entire time, the first Exile record was actually being recorded, and I remember I ended up in a lockout, which was a 7 by 7.5 foot room with no windows and very high ceilings. I would get off of work at 7 a.m. I took the 210 bus to Hollywood and Vine Station. I took that to the North Hollywood station, and then I rode a skateboard to my lockout. The guy was there, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna go practice for a bit. And I go to sleep, wake up at like 4 or 5 or whenever I woke up, all depending on what Exile had going on, and I would write. I would wake up and my guitar would be right next to me, and I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna work on this song. The lead was partly written there. Eventually, the record got released and everything was good. Tried getting a place with a friend, didn't work out. Moved back home for a little bit. Met my beautiful girlfriend there, and got a call, hey, gotta come back. We got a tour with Havoc, Warbringer, and Ex Mortis, who are all good dudes. And all of a sudden, we're in Vancouver, and I'm in a different country, and I need a passport and stuff. Not in that order. You need a passport before you go to another country, but
it's true.
Yeah, but yeah, it all happened. One day I was in a park. I was cold and scared and very hungry. What I will say though is a big part of that story and the uprising of it is Mario, who will not want me to tell this, basically saved my life. I am nobody from nowhere. I'm from a very, very small town that no one's probably heard of, fewer have ever even been. And he took a chance on me, and he brought me into the fold, and our first show was a sold out whiskey show with Death Angel, and he's gone above and beyond. I remember I didn't have any money left. Literally, I didn't, usually when they're like, oh, I have no money, they have some stuff in the couch. I had nothing. I didn't have a piggy bank. I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. I had nothing. And he would go and he would buy me food. If I ever needed a place to store my gear, I would store it right in his house. I never went without. And it's because of Mario's graciousness and his family, really. I mean, just the whole thing. Mike at Urban Yeti, the same thing. I mean, everyone, they've all offered up their homes. Yeah, the only way I could ever think to repay them is just to play my ass off for them and never stop. I mean, I owe them my entire life. And thank you guys for everything. I actually slept on Dave's couch for a year. Then moved the girlfriend out from across the state, so that was cool, and now we have our own little spot with our 2 cats, and I'm a cat dad now, and that's life for me right now. All I do is this. I wake up and I have a kitten who thinks she's a dog, and she brings me her favorite toy, and I play fetch with my cat. Humble beginnings, and then go to the big city, and then everything explodes, and it's awful, and then all of a sudden the next day it's great again, and then all of a sudden I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm in Mexico, and I'm meeting all these people and playing with all these bands, and I still wake up and I pinch myself and ask if it's even real. I still feel like just that kid from nowhere. I think I always will, because I won't name names, but I've met, heroes of mine who didn't end up, being the most gracious. I remember how that felt. Sometimes, I'm sure in this business, some people lose touch with being human. I never want anyone who meets me, even for a second, to associate me with that. I mean, I'm very, very much human. I make mistakes just like everyone else. I'm a simple guy. I love my girl. I love my cats. I love guitars, and I love my friends.
So this episode really hit close to home for me because of my own story and how similar it is to Ray's, but we'll get into that at another time. Ray, I want to say this message to you because of how grateful I am that you are a friend in my life and how happy I am that you are where you are right now. Not everybody can understand what it's like to go all the way down to the bottom and find out what they're truly made of, and only the ones who have the wherewithal to continue going forward. So I'm honored to call you my friend, more than happy than anything that you decided to come on the show and share your story with myself and with the viewers that are going to be watching this. And I'm so very grateful to watch your career blossom forward and look forward to standing next to you as you're doing it, brother. That's going to wrap up this week's episode of Licks, Tips, and Tricks. I do want to end it on a positive note. Not that any of this was anything negative, but it does touch very close to home, and I know that some of you out there who are watching this have gone through experiences that are similar, and it's going to bring up emotions. And just let yourself feel that. Let yourself live in that moment for that second, and remember what got you to where you are right now. Like I said, I want to end this on a positive note. So this week, I've got 3 shows coming up with Nita Strauss. First one's on Wednesday down in Hermosa Beach. The second one's going to be at the Whiskey on Thursday with Vigil of War. And the third one's going to be on Sunday, the 14th, in San Diego at Brick by Brick with the mighty John 5. If you guys are interested and want to come out to these shows, click on the links down below and you'll get all the information that I've got available. That way you can come out and check it out. As always, tune up and tune in Tuesdays at 10 a.m. right here on YouTube for another episode of Licks, Tips, and Tricks. If you like what you saw, click on the like button. If you want to see more, click the subscribe button. That way you can be updated when I release new episodes. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Boom!